J'ai encore mon hier, c'est la première fois que je si je ça me vle de dire, a un monde qui est spécial. C'est activité liée, comme ça c'est tout ça.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Marilyn's Kitchen, Creole Cuisine. Today I'm going to show you how to make spaghetti and hot dog, Haitian style. These are all the ingredients I'll be using for this dish. I'm going to use 1 box of spaghetti, a pack of hot dog. I'm using turkey hot dog, but you can use any hot dog of your choice. I'll be using green pepper, orange pepper, and red pepper. 1 red onion, 1 regular onion, some celery stick, some diced garlic, cilantro, and green onion. I'll be using tomato paste, garlic salt, 1 Maggi chicken bouillon cube, black pepper, Parmesan cheese optional, ground garlic powder, chopped onion powder, ground paprika, accent seasoning. I'll be using 1/2 cup of oil, some prego spaghetti sauce. I'll be using some Mojo seasoning, some parsley flakes, some whole cloves. I'll be using some crushed red pepper and my Lilly butter. And I'll also be using my homemade Haitian spice. Please don't forget to check out my first video on how I made this homemade spice. I would love for you to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Remember to click on the notification bell so you can be the first to be notified every time I upload a new video. I have not even started cooking and my taste buds are just running wild. You are going to love this dish, so let's get started. The first thing first, we're gonna get our spaghetti cooking. We're gonna start cooking our spaghetti. And as you can see, to my left, I have a pot of water boiling. I'm gonna put my spaghetti in, but before I do that, I like to cut my spaghettis in half. And usually, the spaghetti should take about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. So once we put it in, we're just gonna let it cook for a good 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and then come back to our spaghetti. I'm gonna cover it up, but I'm not gonna cover it up all the way because you don't want it to flow over. So I just cover it up halfway. Okay everyone, our spaghetti has been cooking for 5 minutes. We're gonna give it another 10 minutes to cook. And while that's cooking, I already washed my vegetables. I cut them while we wait on our spaghetti to cook. Okay everyone, our spaghetti is fully cooked. So now we're gonna drain the water out of our spaghetti. And once it's drained, we're gonna turn the faucet on with the cold water. And we're gonna rinse the spaghetti out under the cold water. You do this because you wanna stop the cooking process. And that also helps your spaghetti to not stick together when you're ready to cook it. Okay everyone, now I have my oil nice and hot. I'm going to brown these hot dogs until they have a nice golden brown color. You hear that sizzle? That's what you want. You want your oil to be nice and hot. And then you want to leave your hot dog for about a good 10 minutes until they get to a nice golden brown color. Then you take them out the oil. Then you start your cooking process with everything else, adding all your ingredients and stuff. This should take about 10 minutes to get nice and golden brown. So let's give it 10 minutes. I'm gonna cover it up. Come back to it in 10 minutes. We're gonna start browning our tomato paste. All we need is 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. We're gonna cook it in our oil. Let it get nice and brown. We're gonna set our oven, the stove, on medium high, because we don't want these tomato paste to start burning. We want it to cook properly so it could get nice and brown, like a nice golden brown color, just like the hot dogs. Tomato paste is nice and brown, nice and golden brown. Now we add our minced ground garlic. Stir it in, make sure it's nice and stirred in. Then we're gonna add 2 spoons of our homemade spice. You don't need much. 2 spoons will give you all the flavor from this homemade spice that you need in this dish. The smell and the aroma is so tempting. It's all over this place. It smells so wonderful. And this food is not even ready yet. If only you was in this kitchen with me and you could smell it. Wonderful. We're gonna add our Maggi cube, just 1 Maggi cube. You don't need much for this dish, just 1 is fine. Stir that in, stir it in just like that. We are going to add in our Lilly butter. This is a very flavorful butter. It adds flavor to your dish. If you can get this butter at any of your local supermarket, please try to get it, because us Haitian, we love to cook with this butter. It makes our food very flavorful. Lilly butter. You stir it in just like that until the butter, because it's really like a thick butter, so you have to stir it in until everything, you know, melts into the tomato paste. You want it nicely blended into the paste. You don't want to chunk up the butter before you add anything else. Once that's down, melted, we're gonna start adding our ingredients. I'm gonna add my ground black pepper, just maybe like a teaspoonful of cloves, whole cloves. Your ground garlic powder. trust me, you can never put enough. The more garlic powder you put, the better. And your accent seasoning, your parsley flakes. We have to season up this tomato paste to make it very flavorful. Ground paprika. And don't forget your Mojo seasoning, liquid seasoning. I love using Mojo liquid seasoning because it brings so much flavor to my dishes. I use that to season my meat. I use it to, make my rice. I use it to make any type of Haitian dish that I'm making because it brings so much flavor into the dish. Now we're going to let this brown for like 5 minutes before I add in my ragu, prego spaghetti sauce, because I'm using prego today. Now you're gonna add in your thyme. You need to put in your thyme leaves. And once you have that in, you can start adding your crushed red peppers. Just a little bit, you don't need that much. Because remember, the homemade spice have Scotch bonnet pepper in it, so you don't want to put too much crushed red pepper so it don't be over spicy. Because especially if you have children that you're going to feed and everything, you want to make sure it's nice and not spicy. Okay everyone, I'm adding my scallion, my green onions. Everything you add in, you want to give it a stir. Stir it into that tomato paste with all the seasoning. I'm gonna add my chopped cilantro. I'm gonna add my chopped celery. The smell is so amazing with all these spices and all these nice flavorful ingredients. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to sit down and eat this spaghetti. Now I'm gonna add in all my peppers, my red pepper, my green pepper, my yellow pepper, and I'm gonna save my onions for last because you don't want your onions to be overcooked, so these gonna go in last. So I'm gonna let this cook for like another 5 minutes. I'm gonna cover it up, let it simmer before I add in my hot dogs. Everything is coming to a boil real nicely. Now it's time to add in our hot dogs that's already cooked, fried. And add these in. Give it a stir. Turn your heat up just a little bit because we are almost at the finishing process. Once this hot dogs are in, you want them to like mix in there in that sauce very well before we add in our spaghetti, and then we're gonna add in our onions. As you can see, my spaghetti is nice. This like stringy, is not sticking together. That's how you want your spaghetti to be. And also I added a little bit of oil just to keep it from sticking together. So now we're gonna add in our spaghetti. gonna give it a stir. Make sure everything is blended in. Stirring together. Cover it up for like another minute before we add in our onions. Okay, now it's time for us to add in our onions. That's the good part. Don't want to be stingy on them onions because the onions bring a lot of flavor to the dish. You're gonna stir them in. Don't forget to bring up your stove a little bit high, on the high, medium high, because you want them onions to cook. You don't want them to be raw. Be nice and cook. But when we put them in last, you want them to cook, so you have to bring up your stove a little bit, but you have to make sure you're watching the fire and the food because you don't want it to get burned at the bottom. If you look at this spaghetti, you cannot tell me you're not hungry. Yummy. Smells good, tastes good, seasoning is right, very flavorful. There is no other place that you could get it if it's not at Marilyn's Kitchen. Okay everyone, this is my final result of my spaghetti and hot dog Haitian style. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Enjoy!